Righty, I'm back again. Yeah, this is very difficult for me. This. Um, and I just want people to actually realize not all cultures are the same, okay? Wake up, people. Um, so Modi, that's her name, and her channel is Mody Speaks. I hope I'm saying her name properly. If not, I'm sorry. I think she lives in uh, Nigeria, and she's speaking about child marriages. And this is all based on Muhammad and Muhammad's child bride, who happened to be six years old, and he had sex with her when she was 9. Muslims love saying, yeah, but in those times, girls were actually um, uh, more grown up, advanced than they are nowadays. BS. It says in the Quran that she was still playing with auntie dolls. So let us stir the pot here. Uh, you can find this if you search under child marriages, and it's normal for them. They get married to their own family members. Um, they just chop off heads of people who do not accept Muhammad, Allah, whatever. And but yet we're told by our leaders Islam is a religion of peace. And now we even have anti Pope, what's his name? Pope Leo. We must work together with the Muslims. Islam. Yeah, anyway, let's start.
So ever since I made this particular video calling out the evil practice of child marriage in the Islamic world, not child marriage, child, yes, I have been getting all sorts of hateful messages from the perpetrators and supporters of this evil I discussed in that video. If you haven't watched that particular video, guys, you should go watch it. It is almost at 1 million views now. It is a huge nugget, and believe me, you are going to be thankful you watched it. So that video has been giving me so much flack, but best believe that no amount of
I actually believe if you don't actually get any flack, you, okay, are not doing a very good job. It's a problem if most of the people agree with you, go along with you. Yeah. And this is really a very, very backward way of thinking. Muslims, Islam, they stuck in the year 632 when, I could be wrong, but I think it is round about there, when Muhammad appeared on the scene.
hate messages would be able to stop me from calling out this
No,
related
you
evil
carry
that
on.
shares
You
a lot
carry
in
on,
common
Modi.
with that previous video of mine. So, I recently came across this BBC News report captioned Selling Children to Survive, Afghan Fathers Forced to Make Important.
This is from BBC. As we know, they are propaganda. Those children do not look starving. Um, I just want to, yeah, if a person is starving, look it up. It's not rocket science. Your cheekbones uh, protrude, which means sticks out, eyes sink back, and all your cheeks on your fat and all the fat is gone. So you're basically a walking skeleton. And one thing Islam is known for is lying. They lie. And I'm just going to add in here BBC, same thing.
Possible choices. Afghan fathers forced to make impossible choices.
Forced.
Choices like selling their 2-year-old daughters to full grown adult male for money.
This is sick. And it's amazing. They will always play victim. They will always play victim. You look at, okay, these countries, they spend a fortune on anti-weapons. Terror. Hey, I tell you,
I'm so mad, guys. I am so enraged. But before I even start
it's
unleashing my
disgusting.
anger on the BBC for using very misleading euphemisms to express this horror going on in Islamic parts of the world, like Afghanistan, before I unleash my anger on the BBC for trying to humanize and show empathy to some of the villains in this incident rather than the victims,
As far as I'm concerned, and I know I'm going to pick up backlash, but quite frankly, it's like, oh, racist. And, or it's like some stupid word that they think up of. And this is honestly Epstein's world. This.
let us first take a look at this particular video in question. Let's see the Afghan fathers and let's see what this is all about.
This country is reeling under one of the worst hunger crises in the world, caused by
And look at these little girls.
a swirl of factors.
No school,
International
nothing.
aid
Look at
cuts,
this.
the Taliban government's policies, and natural disasters.
Now, really, does Auntie she look starving? Does okay he look starving? Their clothes look clean. I mean, it really doesn't add up.
We've driven into the rural communities nearby. At Abdul Rashid Azimi's home, we're suddenly confronted by the devastating impact. He calls for his daughters, Rukia and Rahim.
Look at that. Imagine that child. She hasn't got a clue what is going on. And then we've got the father with crocodile tears.
Are twins. They're 7. Abdul is eager to explain why he's making unbearable choices. I'm ready to sell my daughters. I'm poor and in debt.
So, stop having children. Just think. I mean, there's a million things you could do, but no, you choose to follow Allah. Oh gosh, I need to calm down here.
I come home with parched lips, distressed and confused. My children come to me saying, Baba, give us some bread.
Ah, God, you
But what can I give? Where is the work so I can earn?
government, Islam. This is it. This is it. And then, if you say something, Islamophobia. And
It breaks my heart, but it's the only way to feed my other children, Abdul says.
Ah, you freaking piece of shh.
I
You
agree.
human waste. You degenerate descendant of evil Mahmud. Police be upon him. It is not the only way. You selling one of your 5-year-old daughters to an adult old man for marriage is not the way, let alone the only way to provide for your family. By the way,
Just think, you are that size. You've got a man's thing ripping you apart. And to sell your children? Wouldn't that be classified as sex slavery? Oh, but no, I'm telling you, Islam, religion of peace. For who? For who?
why do you have so many kids at all if you have to sell one of them to feed the others? Why do you have a family to begin with? Why? So this man thinks that the only way to provide for his other children is to sell one of his little daughters. Now, we're not talking about selling this little baby to be an errand girl or even a domestic worker. We are talking about selling her to be a wife to an adult male. A wife.
And you want to call that normal behavior?
Little baby to be an errand girl or even a domestic worker. We are talking about selling her to be a wife to an
Look at that. Look at that. Is that godly? Is that moral, upstanding, good? Let us now honestly expose the filth of what this really is. But yet, the anti-left, humanitarian, pro-Palestine, LGBTQ, whatever, they pick and choose what they want to cry and shout about. But this will just hide it away. And these girls don't get educated. Their whole purpose is, as far as, okay, these men minds can go, just pop out babies.
adult male, a wife. And this animal of a man has the audacity to give us fake tears and
Yeah,
theatrics,
fake
claiming that
tears.
this is the only way. How can this be the only way
It's
when you have not
not,
even
it's not.
tried selling yourself, sir? This man accumulated a debt himself, but now he wants to pay off his own debt by pimping out his own baby? What an abomination. I mean,
And I don't quite agree with her there. What did he buy? What? Did he actually buy two goats, a male and a female goat, so at least they can breed, and then as time goes by, he can buy more goats? Oh, but I forgot. They also have sex with, goats as well.
Look at these little girls' faces. I think their name is
They
Rakia
haven't got
and
a clue
Rohila.
what's going on.
They look terrified. They don't even understand that they are being prized out like livestock for marriage and worse, to grown men.
To please
This is a
Allah.
father commodifying his own flesh and blood's innocence. The representation of a failed father. This man's secret duty as a man in any decent society, under any moral code worth respecting, is to protect his children at all costs, to sacrifice himself, to starve so they eat, to work dangerous jobs, to beg, to scrape, or fight for their safety. But what do we see here? We see a man lamenting that because there is no job and he has debts and he has hungry mouth to feed, he is going to pimp out one of those hungry mouth to save himself. BBC is here making this man to be the victim, sympathizing with him, trying to humanize his action, writing, Afghan father makes impossible choice. But they don't even care about the little girls in question who is being destroyed, whose future is being torn apart, whose life is being turned upside down, who's
And most probably his wife went through the same thing. And that cycle just carries on and on and on. Submission to Allah, Muhammad.
going to bear the pain of being in this sort of marriage at the age of 5. Now, I understand that there is extreme poverty in places like Afghanistan. Life is hell in Afghanistan, especially more under the Taliban rule.
Because
But
it's
even extreme
terrorism.
poverty will never force a reasonable father to sell his 2-year-old daughter as a wife to a full-grown adult. Yes, I said 2 years old. I've seen children being sold at the ages of maybe months, maybe 9 months old.
Yeah.
You wait for them to get to 6, then you come marry them off. It is happening there. Why are the daughters the currency? Why not sell his labor into indentured servitude? Why not the teenage sons polishing shoes or collecting trash? Why specifically the prepubescent girls? Why is the first solution to their poverty troubles selling of very underage little girls? After all, Afghanistan is not the only country battling with extreme poverty. So many countries across the world, including many African countries, are facing the same problem. Even Africans are facing it on a larger scale, I can argue that. But these African countries don't systematically auction off toddler daughters for, well, unless these African countries are Islamic countries. Then we see the same thing happening in Afghanistan repeat itself there, like we saw in that Somali video, that Somali child video. So why is it that anywhere Islam is prevalent, the little girls are never safe? Well, because in all of
Look at that. Look at that. It should break your heart. And then we got the little friggin' protesters crying about Palestine. And then we got Greta with her little boats and condoms floating around. Humanitarian aid, but there's no aid on those boats. And her there, she's numb. She's just this walking shell.
this Islamic culture, girls are viewed as economic assets to be traded for bride prices. Boys are future providers, and girls They are disposable bargaining chips for debt relief or short term survival.
I am telling you now, sick on the UN, EU, and to every single leftist that, okay, supports pro-Palestine and the left and chopping up, okay, children. Absolutely horrific.
In strict interpretations of their holy book, girls at marriageable age, as long as they are mature, that is their marriageable age, mature, just like mature Aisha, at the mighty and gigantic age of 6 years old. Okay, now this practice is embedded in their Sharia customs.
Yes,
The
it is.
Taliban bans girls from secondary education and any type of work. In fact, they're not, God, you need to read up on what is happening in the Taliban in Afghanistan. They are trapping families in cycles where their daughters become the exportable treasures, the exportable resources. Bright traditions turn these little girls into debt settlements. Fathers accumulating debts, then offloading those debts onto their daughters' futures. Sell her at 2 or at 5 years old so the family eats. One father in the same report in this particular video already sold his 5-year-old daughter for medical bills with marriage to a relative's son planned when she now turns 10. Imagine that. Philia, enabled by culture and religion, rebranded as survival. In 2026, with all the world's progress, this medieval barbarism.
And then we've got these ones, Islam, spreading throughout the world. And there are certain governments denying it's going on. And yet we can see it. We can look it up. We can research it. But no, we'll hold our phone and just become totally numb. And boy, if just somebody says one little thing that doesn't fit the narrative, you are just called all kinds of names.
Persists in the Islamic world. Now, what annoys me more than this disgraceful man posing as a father is the BBC's infuriating coverage of this incident. They were more concerned about humanizing the so called heartbroken father without even sparing a thought for the victims, the little girls in question. But I'm not surprised though, because this is typical of legacy media. The
Yeah.
headline: Afghan fathers make impossible choices. Soft focus on the men's tears, their anguish, and their devastating impact. They mention selling these girls for marriage, but they frame the fathers as sympathetic victims of circumstance. Where is the unfiltered outrage?
I'm just going to put this out there because I'm actually thinking about it. These men, because of low IQ, I think the IQ is between 65 and 80. They cannot handle a grown up woman because mentally their minds will explode. The other day I was watching a video from Germany, and this one of these ones sees a woman and suddenly he cannot control himself. So he goes up to her and he just says it out straight. I want. And she's like, she like sort of answers back. And he's like, oh, I've got my needs and this and this and this. You are nothing but a total uncivilized man. Well, yeah, that's, yeah, I don't know about a man, but boy. And then there's some other Westerner, male Westerner, and this Muslim says, I saw her first, and then you can have her next. I mean, it's like a piece of meat that you just use and then you just pass on. It's a person. It's of value. Like their way of thinking. It's like it's so backwards.
For the girls' terror, BBC. The systemic condemnation of a society that treats their daughters this way. The link to Taliban ideology and broader patterns across Islamic regions. Instead, what we hear are all sorts of euphemisms to soften the blow of this horror. Child marriage instead of child
Yeah, and
survival
that is
instead
what
of
it is.
pimping out minors.
Yeah,
This is a narrative smoothing, classic leftist instinct to avoid Islamophobia or cultural judgment.
made
Blame
up word.
poverty, blame Western legacy, blame sanctions, anything except the internal civilizational failure. If you watched the longer BBC video on this incident, you would see the crazy BBC journalists blaming America for cutting aids to Afghanistan. They would rather blame America than blame the Taliban or even Islam, the culture of Islam. Taxpayer funded British journalists humanizing the perpetrator.
What I've noticed, well, for a while now, if there is anything wrong, you blame the white person, you blame Trump, you blame anything but yourselves. It's this thing of you don't actually offend people because they can't handle it.
While the victim's innocence is battered away. It is not neutral journalism. It is complicit in downplaying evil to protect a preferred worldview. Real reporting would scream, this is child exploitation. This is incompatible with civilized norms and
Mm,
demand accountability from the culture enabling this. But not BBC. They wouldn't. Oh, Afghan fathers, heartbroken. They are making impossible choices. Shame on the BBC and shame on these so called fathers, disciples of Muhammad. These guys are not men. A real man doesn't look his 5-year-old in the eye, kisses her forehead, and says, oh, your body will pay my debts. Your body will pay my bills.
mm,
No, he doesn't. He stands between her and the monsters. He dies first if needed. He does everything he can to
mm.
protect the little ones. These fathers are failing the most basic test of masculinity and fatherhood. They are villains in their daughters' stories, not victims. Calling them out is not cruelty, it is moral clarity, and that is exactly what I'm doing. Because selling a child into what amounts to be slavery or consummated is evil. Full stop, no excuses. The underlying Islamic cultural framework that normalizes this deserves harsh scrutiny and reform. BBC and
It's
other similar
disgusting.
outlets are smoothing barbarism, but it is high time we call out this and call it what it is.
And this is what we have to start doing. I mean, even here in South Africa, I'm seeing more and more Muslims.
When the Allied forces entered.
Okay, now I just want to show you a person who is starving. Okay, those kids look nothing like this. I'm just trying to find the picture. It's golly. That is a starving person. That those children look nothing like that. Okay, we're going to another one. This is also child marriage in Africa, Central Africa.
According to the UN, the prevalence of child marriage is declining around the world. But in parts of Africa, it's actually becoming a bigger problem.
And this is my whole problem with the UN, EU, and that. They actually support terrorism. And they just fix numbers up. No, child marriage is going down and this and this and this. But it's actually going up. Because logically, as Muslims spread out over the world, Islam that they follow, child marriage is going to become more and more prevalent in the world. Logical.
Central African Republic has the second highest rate of child marriage worldwide. 29% of girls are married by the age of 15, and 68% are married before they turn 18. Benicia Zanga Rodriguez is only 12 years old. And just weeks ago, her family married her off to Chari Kobe, the 46-year-old unemployed driver.
So her father married her off to a guy who hasn't got a job, who happens to be twice her age. No, actually more.
In exchange, they got a dowry of about $70, along with some goats and chickens.
So your whole life is worth 70 US currency and some chickens and goats. And this chicken, won't even feed one person.
Now she cooks, cleans, and sells food at the market each night. She also has to take care of Kobe's 10-year-old daughter from his first marriage. We spoke to Benicia with permission from her parents. The legal age for marriage is actually 18, but girls can be married earlier if their parents say it's okay or a court approves.
God, you're self-centered. Because it's all about you. So he doesn't want a mature woman. He rather wants somebody that's young, that he can smack around, manipulate, control. What a manly man, I suppose. He just thinks he happens to be.
Il est vite moi qui a bangé qui anderamo.
Well, she basically has to say yes, because otherwise he is going to beat her.
Luida.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. The IQ is astounding. Disgusting. She
There's
really
been violent
looks happy.
conflict in the Central African Republic since 2013, when rebels overthrew the government. The instability and accompanying poverty is helping drive up the number of child marriages. Many families need the money a dowry provides and believe marrying their girls off at a young age can protect them from the sexual violence that's become an instrument of war.
Tu sais que c'est le groupe armé, même avec la force, il peut enlever l'enfant. Mais si elle est chez elle, elle a marié un seul homme, là, peut-être tout le monde savait qu'elle est déjà chez elle, donc son mari va occuper d'elle. Et puis nous aussi, on savait que s'il y a quelque chose, on doit venir.
How is the husband taking care of, his wife? How? She is stuck in the cycle with no voice. I mean, look at that wall. War. And it just carries on and on and on.
Demander son mari.
Amadou Jabi arranged the marriage for his younger sister, Zubaida. The 12-year-old recently gave birth to a baby girl. We also spoke to her with the consent of her parents. Zubaida says what pains her the most is the opportunity she's missing out on.
And there we have the people at the top with low IQs controlling everybody in the country. And now she's got a child and a husband that's low IQ. One more. And this is why South Africa will never, ever prosper, because of this backward mentality that they have. I'm not talking about all blacks. I'm talking about the ones in power. And we hand over so much when we go and vote. Seven, at the age of 7. You can just imagine the pain she had to go through. No, but it's our culture. There are certain things about our cultures that need to get eradicated, and this is one of them.
ተንገላትቼ ነው የቀረው። ይደበደኛል እንጂ ማለት ነው ግብረ ስጋ ግንኙነት ሲባል አላውቅም። እኔ ዛን ጊዜ እንዴት እንደሆነ አላውቅም። ነው እኔ 7 ዓመት ሰው 16 ዓመት ነው እንዴ ሆኖታል። እሱም ትንሽ ነው እኔም ትንሽ ነኝ አናውቅም።
And what I've noticed when you speak about these hard-hitting questions, particularly with Black people, it's this thing that they are cloaked in shame and I take guilt. There is no excuse or reason for young girls and sometimes boys, but mainly young girls, to go through this. That's why don't come and tell me it's our culture. Can't you tell that it's wrong? It's evil. It's just not civilized. What do you think is going to happen when there are no like South Africa, Botswana, Congo, when it's just all one country, Pan-Africa? No young girl is going to be safe. I mean, there's a lot of other things coming, but for now, I'm just focusing on this. And these countries have got their independence for donkey's years. And now we have, Ramaphosa saying, oh, South Africa is a sovereign nation. Stop lying. Just stop it. Because a sovereign nation has got borders. We haven't got that here. Just stop with these lies. Which kind of put cow is so thin. Seven, at the age of 7. Well, of course not.
እንዴት ምን አላውቁም። እንትዳርና ሲባል እኔ ልብስና ልብስሻሉና ወሰዱ ይገበያ።
They took me to the market and said they wanted to buy me clothes.
ዛሬ ገብሳችሁ ዶክ ተባሉ ማለት ነው። ለነገ ስለሆነ ማድረስ ስለምችል
ዋት ነሳ ተደገሰ ወላ ሲደገስ ነው የተቀመጭ እዛ ውስጥ አሉ ሩና ተቀመጥኩኝ ኋላ ሄርነን ምሸት
የሰርጌለትማ ጠዋት ቀኑ ሙሉ እዚያው ሲደገስ ሲጨፈር ዋለ። ቀኑን እዚያው ድግስ ዋለ። ኋላ ማታ ላይ ምሸት ወደዚያ ስነድ
then they gave me a piggyback and took me away because the horse didn't work.
ፈረስ ነው ፈረስ አይሆንልኝም አዝሎ ነው የወሰዱኝ።
ልጥፋ ስል ሲደበደበኝ ምን ሲለኝ አማቴቱ ደግሞ ምን አበሻ አብረሽ ማተኝ ስትለኝ እየተነሳው በጎታውን በምን በዳሪውም ስወጣ ተጫጉሎም እንዲሁም ወጥቼ ሲመታ ጊዜ ጠፍቼ እጄ ነው ያለው።
ከመጀመሪያ ቀን ጀምሮ ያው እኔ ደስተኛ አይደለሁም። ምንም አላውቅም። እዚያ ደስተኛ አይደለሁም። ያው ሳለቅስ ነው የሰነበት ማለት ነው።
እናት አባቴ ጠፍቼ ስሄድ ደግሞ አንቺ ምን አባሽ እዚያው ተቀመጭ እንጂ የጋለሞታ ልጅ ወይም
Yeah. In this kind of a culture, you don't love, you don't protect, you don't look forward. You're stuck on the hamster wheel of just going through the motions. I think psychologically you just become numb because I don't want to love my child because there is going to come a time when I have to follow the culture.
የቁመ ቀር ልጅ ብለሽ የምታሰድቢ ምን አባሽ ነው እያሉ እያባረሩ ሲሰዱ እናት አባቴ ሲሸኙ ታባሌ ጋር ይሆኑና ሲሸኙ እኔም እዚያው ታባሩኝማ እነሱም እዚያም እነዚህም ታሰቃዩኝማ እንግዲህ ያልና በዛፉም
So of you actually protecting your child, you got more fear of being called by people, the parents of a spinster, than of actually protecting, loving, okay, your child. You've got more fear of that.
በዛፉም በምንም ሰቀልና ሳድር ልጅ በልቶ የነበረ አንድ ጊዜም በዛፉ ተሰቅያ አድሬ አሁን ይዛን ጊዜ እናንተ እንግዲህ በዛፉ ተሰቅላት አደርሽማ ከንቱ ልጅ በጅብል ትበላ የለ ጉዳት ላገኛታ ይላልና መልሶ አመጣኝ።
So he took her back home at least.
እናቴ ዝም ብላ ምናምን ነገር የላትም። ከዛ መሬቷን አከራየችና ጥጃ እየጠበቀች አስተምሪ ብላት እምቢ አለች። አስተምራይ ቢሆን አሪፍ ነበር። ሴት ልጅ ኖረኝ አስተምራታለሁ አልድራትም።
ዛሬ ሰው ሁላ ሲዳር ሲጎራረስ እጅ ለሽ ተጊዞ ሲሄድ በጣም ቀናለሁ።
የኔንማ እንድታየው አልፈልግም። የኔን ስቅይት እሷ እንድታየው አልፈልግም። እሷ እንደገና ተደስታ እንድትኖር ነው የምፈልግ። የኔው ስቅይት ይበቃል እያሉ ነው።
And this is what we have. That's why all these so-called humanitarian things and charities and that, as far as I'm concerned, they are a farce because they don't really do anything. They just, well, like there are some people that give money, but then the ones that actually run it, they take most of it. Most of the money. NGOs and humanitarian things. Right, at the end of that, Islam is something we have to really educate ourselves on. And all I can say is that it's time for us to actually stop trusting our leaders and mainstream media, because they are all working against us. Alrighty. So thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.